Welcome to part 5 of our run through the Move the Earth puzzle contest. Possibly the final part, depending on how well we get through this, but of course first we will have to get revenge against this holdover from the previous stream last week, Bafflingly Buoyant Bog by Taramis. And this did not go well when we last looked at it. It didn't help that I was, I think, extremely tired while I was playing it, and so we just had tunnel vision for one thing for the longest time, and then tunnel vision for another thing that we never actually resolved. We're going to take a look at this with a fresh set of eyes. And Derbishad Visser, hello, Mr. Men, yeah. Known, of course, from the Roger Hargreaves Mr. Men series of rather lovingly illustrated children's books. There's an idea for a themed level for you, if anybody wants to capitalize on that. Anyway, the thumbnail I only just noticed now consists of a submerged Yoshi in poison, wishing that he could float like a bone shell. We hadn't considered that previously, but that's because we were busy bashing our heads against a particular room of this level for multiple hours, making no headway whatsoever. We're going to do better today, and this time I will actually be awake for it, I hope. So, mysteriously moving mire might measure many minds maneuvering mastery, rather. Here's the rematch. I should have actually copied the code into the chat as well, just for the reference of anybody who wants to get in and look at it. James D, welcome. We're back. We're doing this. And I think we'll do better this time, but let's take a look and see how it goes. Anyway, this floating stump setup that we'd seen before doesn't really bear much relation to the later puzzle, but whoops. Let's get some of the bad jumps out of our system, of course, while also ensuring that the stream is properly up and operational, and that we don't have too many issues with audio or video or whatever else. Look at all those one-ups for Endless, just in case we needed them. We'll say that our previous experience with this level was that it was just execution error central. Lots of things you can do to completely wreck your own progress here. Am I closer or further away from the mic? I would say that my voice is actually not quite at 100% today. I still want to stream this and get the puzzles done, but I'm probably not going to speak quite as much as usual. Yeah, I don't think I'm sick or anything. I just had a little bit of a cough earlier. But whoops. Right, I toggled the switch. Let's actually watch this carefully this time. But yeah, so I might potentially sound a little bit rough today, but we'll try to make the best of it. Anyway, across we go. And everything's perfectly synchronized to not kill you once you have the opportunity to ride these stumps in the off state. Tactics 47. Good evening to you as well. Whoops. We're having a rematch here against a puzzle that stumped me for hours and hours last week. We are going to do better this time. How much better and how quickly remains to be seen. I'm pretty sure it was a fairly silly thing that I was trapped on last time as well. Sometimes you just get into a bit of tunnel vision with these. We've certainly had that experience before. Anyway. This time when we toggle the switch state, we are going to watch out. We do need to jump on this in the other state, I think, instead of taking it up with us. So let's toggle this. Let's make sure we actually have enough room. Yeah, because with the state set to on, everything just drops. We know we'll be back in this room because the objective is to smuggle a POW block from the next room into this one so we can kill the Muncher, toggle the on-off state, and then go back in the pipe. We had not yet managed to reach that last time because this was the room, this is the state that we were staring at for the longest time. So let's reestablish some things that we knew, and there is one improvement that I do want to make right away. Now we know previously that slamming the POW down there with the shell is going to give you access to Yoshi. The state we ultimately want to reach... Also, there is going to be a checkpoint in here that we should hit. James D, you saw where I beat the puzzle level from Zelda King? Yeah, I was just missing one critical move that I was even explicitly talking about on a stream. And the thing is, we'll probably revisit that puzzle on stream anyway, because as far as I know, there was a re-upload because of some kind of bug that needed to be fixed. And so it's likely we'll go back to it and show the full solution on stream. I was missing exactly one step, and I was even talking about what step that should look like. And pretty much as soon as I logged off to stream the other day, I saw the solution immediately. Which is just how it goes with puzzles sometimes. You step away for a moment and suddenly you've got it. So, okay, this one here. We know that we need to be careful about the timing of slamming down to the POW so I'm not stuck in the bone form when the poison comes up. I lost a lot of attempts to that. We also need to not jump into the square here because it activates a block that obstructs you. Also, there are blocks up here, which I noticed last time but didn't use, and I think this is actually going to become relevant. We know that we're able to take either Yoshi or the bone shell back to the previous room in order to have access to another spring. This actually can be done in two ways. Whoops, let's reset the shell. And this was the first roadblock we hit last time, was that I was trying to get out of here back to the spring in the previous room. I didn't notice that we actually had multiple methods for doing this. One is just to wait for the shell here and bounce up with Yoshi and leave. I'll actually show off the other method as well, because this occurred to me again after I signed off. And it pretty much gets the same result. I think it's slightly less efficient. We had a slow way of doing this and a fast way, and I'm just sure we did it the slow way first. The slow way is to take the bone shell out instead of Yoshi. Whoops, we killed Yoshi. Okay. Let's not do that. Like I said, this level is very vulnerable to execution mistakes. Lots of ways in which either Mario or Yoshi can take a dive in a poison. And so for here, for instance, you can't slam the POW if you are already a little too late, because the poison is just going to come up and envelop you much too quickly. But the idea here is that I can take either Yoshi or the bone shell out and get access to the trampoline in the previous room. So... Oh, Yoshi's gonna die. Oh, no, yeah, no, same mistake. Let's not do that. And you can see how it's going already, that the execution mistakes in this level are abundant. There are many traps to avoid. Best to play a little more patiently, perhaps. We had figured out a couple of things about this. We had figured out how to move Yoshi over to the right side of the room. Now, this is just what I want to show off quickly. bone shell here, and then we just leave Yoshi behind, take the bone shell, then we get a bit of an opportunity here to ride out to the other side or slam this down. Now, because we have access to the bone shell, we are therefore able to survive this and jump back out up top. Now, it's a little more efficient with Yoshi because Yoshi can actually just use the tongue to grab the spring from across the barrier. That's something else we determined fairly late in the previous stream. But regardless, the objective here, whether you have Yoshi or not, is to make sure you get back here with the trampoline. Yeah, if you have Yoshi plus trampoline, it saves you one additional reset through the pipe. That's why it's a little more efficient to do it that way instead. But we'll try to show that off. Well, let's get out of here first. And we'll grab Yoshi. We'll reset through the pipe at that point, I think, just to make sure we have access to everything we need. Let's push Yoshi this way. Hang on. So the thing I want to do is get Yoshi to run over to the right side with the spring in his mouth. Because what we're going to do is we're going to spit the trampoline over to the right side of the seesaw. It's going to weigh down the seesaw and probably lift the POW block into a position where we can retrieve it. We figured this out in the last stream and I didn't manage to execute it. Because in order to take damage as Yoshi, you do need to hit the Muncher up above him, which means that you can't have already killed the Muncher at that point. We killed the shell, that's okay, we'll just reset through here. We want the Muncher back anyway. And so I spent the longest time trying to run Yoshi across, but the problem is that if we use Muncher damage to run Yoshi across with the spring in his mouth, then we wouldn't have any kind of mechanism to both preserve the POW and remove the Muncher gate. Because option 1 is you use the trampoline to raise the Muncher. Option 2 is that you use the bone shell to slam the POW and get rid of the Muncher, but the problem is that we are trying to get the POW block on the same cycle, so we know neither of those options are really available. We have 70 seconds. I'm not actually going to be able to show this off by the checkpoint, I think. So we'll probably just have to redo this. But the insight that I didn't have is that it is possible to get the spring over to the right side independently of Yoshi, such that you can have Yoshi in... Whoops. Oh, he died. Okay. That's okay. This attempt is shot anyway. And we need to be careful not to hit that block. I think it should be possible to raise the Muncher without hitting that block if we're careful, as long as we have a throw that doesn't quite go that far. Anyway, let's take the death here so we have as much time available on the clock as we can manage. So we'll do things the slightly faster way this time, just to show it off. And that's what we had determined in a previous stream, is that it's more efficient to take Yoshi over to the pipe instead, so we save ourselves the effort of having to spend an additional cycle through this room retrieving Yoshi on the other side of the Muncher gate. Let's give him a bit of a push. We'll wait for the bone shell to come up and we'll jump over with Yoshi. And we'll try to grab the spring on the other side. So this seems to be the most efficient way to do it. You lower this, try to have a good timing with your tongue. And then you don't need to muck around with the poison in the other room. Now, here's the thing that I had missed in all of my attempts last week. The thing I did not look at was how to properly use this spot here. Because we know that this box indicates that there are blocks that you can activate here, so you can't actually jump through the bottom. The thing that I had failed to see last time was that in this corner, Yoshi's tongue should be able to grab this trampoline once he's on the other side. So if you send Yoshi over to the right side first, and then wrap around in such a way that you can place this over here, then you can use this first to bump the Muncher. You can bump the Muncher and then kill the Muncher in this location, and then drop this guy. And then you should be able to retrieve it on the other side. I also kind of have an idea of what the conveyor is for. I think the conveyor is here because if you have something like the bone shell on top of it, then the bone shell will be in the traveling state, which would then allow you to take damage against it. Whereas usually if you fire a bone shell towards a wall, you can't take damage because it's not going to deflect. And you can't really outpace it. But if you fire it against a conveyor, I think you're able to take damage that way. The problem, of course, is that if Yoshi runs off damage from a bone shell, he's in a running state all the way over here. You can lower the donut, but then he's trapped in the pit where you see the blue blocks right now. So unless you do something like place a trampoline there to get him to continue running, I think you can't really use the conveyor idea just yet. I think we do have a pretty clear path for what to do, though. Which is, first of all, let's avoid killing Yoshi if we can. We do need to leave him alive. Oh, whoops, we probably wanted to shell. You know, let's see if this is doable without the shell. For the time being, just to see if we can continue this attempt. Because the idea was to send Yoshi over. Oh, it's too late. Much too late. Okay. We need to reset all of this. Given that I burnt 200 seconds, actually it's more efficient to take a death since we have reset the entire state to what it was at checkpoint. And we burned way too much time, and we know the clock is going to be a problem. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's slam the POW. Let's get out of here before the poison comes up. We'll drop the shell over on this side. And get Yoshi a push down below. Anyway, we'll just wait. And wait. Okay, so at this point we're able to grab this with passable timing. And then let's send everything down below without destroying the shell this time. I don't know yet if I'll need it. I might, because I think the shell could potentially be useful for a ground slam on the seesaw if we ever need to project any items upwards by slamming the seesaw on one end. So we'll keep it for the time being. I don't know if we'd have the chance to reset through it later. Yeah, so Yoshi damage will come first, because Yoshi damage has to happen while the Muncher is in a low position. Then we can lift the Muncher to a high position using the trampoline, I think. So, you get Yoshi to run. Okay, and then now the idea is that we want to get the Muncher gate out of the way, but then transport the trampoline over to the other side. The way we'll do it is this. The Muncher's in this position now. We should be able to kill it with the blocks from below. But we're going to leave this second slot open here because we need a place for this spring to go. It'll probably just be an up throw up to the donut block to make that happen. Let's not hit the poison. Okay, so now we go down here. We drop this. And then we try to claim Yoshi to try to get back upstairs. So this is already progressing from where we were last time, because last time I didn't see this method. Should be able to grab this guy, like maybe with a duck jump. Let's see. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then now we should be able to lift the POW. Whoops. We need to not get bumped by the bumper. Let's just wait for the next cycle. Well, a little slow here. Let's be cautious. If I understand it correctly, I think the POW on the seesaw on the left side right now is at a level position because the POW is sitting on top of some other platform that is bracing it. Okay, so that's going to lift that. It's not quite within tongue range. And so now we figure out how to get a POW across to the right side. And no, why would we want it on the right side? We want to take it back to the previous room. So we need to figure out how to take the POW back without destroying it. And the thing is, up throws with POWs in a single column pretty much never work, so we can't rely on that. What we can do is that we can actually still get Yoshi from the other side, and you can go Yoshi plus POW in the same way that we previously had Yoshi jump over the bone shell on the left. So we would move the POW like this. And then, yeah, let's move the shell slightly so we can have a platform to jump off of. Now, if I'm correct, we should be able to take Yoshi back to the first room. And if you have a POW, then you then have access to the on-off switch. Good. Good. And then, now, Yoshi is able to go back. And this is progress. This is significant progress. So now notice that this is gated off, although that the blue blocks over that one-way panel have disabled the muncher, but still continue to confine me to climbing through that column rather than jumping. Let's hit the checkpoint flag before anything else happens. We'll also want to reset through here to grab the spring again. Now, looking at position here, I think the blue blocks do block the munchers from spawning, but probably not Yoshi if we do lose him. And so now we have to do something on the right side. That looks like it's probably the exit door. Likely, you would be able to get enough height off trampoline plus spring on the right side, which means we need to send both objects over. There's no more muncher to give me the damage boost that I need, but since the blue blocks here haven't closed off, I should actually be able to send Yoshi over. Yeah, because you can no longer use this area here to send an object across with Yoshi tonguing it on the other side. So you would need Yoshi to run over with whatever he's holding. And you need to lift the POW again anyway if you want to retrieve the POW. So we still need the same interaction with Yoshi plus Spring. So I think we'd already talked about how to potentially set up a damage source. It would be like this. Okay, so conveyor belt's going at double speed right to left. I believe that if you fire the bone shell, I don't know if you'd want to fire a kick because the speed might have a subtle difference, but supposing we fire the bone shell and chuck it against the conveyor, this conveyor should probably kind of hold it in stasis, and then we can get Yoshi in a damaged state. So yeah, right there. And we're able to damage Yoshi and run him all the way across. Got 100 seconds. We've got a checkpoint though, a new checkpoint. Can't really see this well on camera, unfortunately. Have to be pretty careful. Because, yeah, Shell is basically technically traveling left to right, so I'd want to run into it this way and have Yoshi run. Oh, it picks up the shell as well then, okay. So we want to watch the poison timing such that we get Yoshi to run across to the other side as before. And then we basically have two objects available there. So maybe this timing right here should work. Just barely. You lose a ton of progress if he gets hit somehow. Let's drop the bone shell down here for a moment while we climb. We should be able to retrieve the POW at this point. The same idea as before? Oh! Oh, that's interesting. I couldn't tongue it last time. I wonder how I got it this time. Wow, got 40 seconds. Let's see if we can do it. Because if we can get the spring... Yeah, I didn't think he was within range for that. Oh, no, we gotta wait for the next cycle. Or we will die. I don't know if we'll actually beat it in 20 seconds. Okay. Get out, get out. Without jumping into the vine. Nearly hit that block just now. That was not gonna be great. Oh, let's see if we can do it. Soft drop. 2 seconds. Are we there? Yes, we're there. 0 on the clock. That was a bit of a surprise. I didn't think that you could tongue the POW block at the end. Because I missed it the first time, right? And it seemed like it was totally out of range, but... I just decided to go for it, to try it, and suddenly with 40 seconds on the clock, I realized we could get it done. So you know what? Okay, I'm glad we put it away quickly. Because I suppose that compensates for what an ordeal it was last time. I was expecting the ending to be much, much more complicated. Well, sort of on the assumption that we had to cart the POW across some other way and figure out some method of escorting it, but we'll take the win. We will definitely take the win. Anyway, we have one puzzle left in the contest that we have not previously seen. I'm way ahead of schedule today, so if we get it done early, who knows? We might be too optimistic, but let's take our time with it. Let's try to finish it up. The next one's going to be my Ape Taster. I'll paste the code in the chat. Yeah, I'm still surprised that worked. Huh. I mean, yeah, I guess it would have been a fairly substantial reset if we had not made the clock at the very end. And there were a couple of close calls there when it came to potentially fatal execution mistakes. But anyway, you've been hired to fix the Mushroom Kingdom's hydropower station. And about a 5-minute record on this one, which is still better than that 9-minute record from Sir Schlecht and the Teramis level previously. Let's see how it goes. Ape Taster made a really interesting puzzle for the last contest for alternate dimensions. That was the one that had an extremely memorable setup-based solution for the final maneuver. That was the one with the red Yoshi and green Yoshi. I was quite fond of it. But this time, perpetual motion. It is some kind of electric station. Let's give it a look. Okay. Looks like this is the power station, so let's go down and... We see that there are 7 pink coins. Looks like it is going to be just a multi-segment puzzle with a central checkpoint. Pipe probably takes you to the other checkpoints and reloads you through. The pink coin in the middle there, given that you need to come through the other pipe to get it, probably some kind of anti-key death. Looks like that pink coin is missable though, this central one. Anyway, we do see the yellow coins kind of giving you a destination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, plus a safety coin, I guess, here, so let's just do it. Number 1. So, going to be rising and falling water. Notice the donut block that probably just kills you, and that we need some kind of activation of on-off switches. I don't know yet what does activate the on-off switch. It might be something to do with raising the twister. It is totally raising the twister. Is it repeatable? Let's take a look. Yes, it is. So pretty much every time you press this, twister activates something off screen that activates the switch. In that case, we need some kind of remote activation that would allow me to drop through manually while weighing down the seesaw. And Grakowski, welcome. Grakowski, we just finished a Terramis puzzle. To my great surprise, we finished it with 0 seconds on the clock. And, which was still a considerable improvement on how we did with it in the previous session, where I basically started the same room for multiple hours with no headway. So we seem to have compensated for that, and this is the last one in the set that I haven't done yet, so... Anyway, water goes up and down. I think we can take advantage of the fact that the water can maybe raise and lower the bone shell, and the bone shell would basically go high enough to release pressure from the seesaw, but then be dragged down low enough to apply pressure to the seesaw. So we basically just need to place this on the seesaw and let the water do its job, perhaps. And perhaps this is just a tutorial to the central concept of the level, where, yeah, water goes down, and then you have some leverage there. Okay, so that is the concept. Down we go. So you can avoid this coin. And given that it looks very much like a safety coin, I mean, it doesn't really matter if we do. I think it's going to be key death prevention whenever. But... oh, okay. So you do need to take it. Now we know. Anyway, let's do this in order, just in case these puzzles do develop over each other. And yeah, Grakowski, I hope you've been enjoying these as well. I don't know how far along you are. I did drop by for a bit of the co-op level this weekend, but... that, of course, is something that I'm glad the other judges are managing to get out of the way. Anyway, POW plus Bone Shell. We know from one of the previous levels we've done that, first of all, we're in a bit of a bad situation with a POW, but if we ground slam it, I think maybe we can lift it? No. Am I able to get it back, or do I need to reset? Hang on. We know that while a soft drop of the POW would kill a bone shell that it lands on, that the POW can be carried by a bone shell if it is kind of in a rest position before the bone shell decides to raise it. So, oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted. It's okay, we'll reset it. I feel like it's going to be like a POW plus bone shell stack on top of the cloud. Like POW on top of cloud to constrain the bone shell in this position, because then the bone shell kind of goes up and down in this one tile, because the POW will be pressing down upon it. And that's how we would set up that device. You finished this one last Thursday. It's ready to go now, yeah? Also, I love how the coins here overlap with these little valve doodads that are on top of the pipe. Nice little touch, aesthetically speaking, to have the indication coins do that. So yeah, you can see that the bone shell, when it goes up and down, it's going to rest on top of the cloud, and we don't want that. We want it to rest here, but then with the POW... well, we're kind of in a bit of a situation here. I think we need to jump out of the bone shell with water at low level. Then we drop the POW on top of the cloud. And hopefully the overlap should be fine. Like, oh no, just wanted to drop it in that location. Probably should have just taken a bone shell with me when resetting through the door. Yeah, ideally we drop a pow like this. Okay, that's good. That's what I want. Because then bone shell does not wind up above the cloud, and we just drop it one step at a time as it pumps. Wait, no. Did that kill it? That killed it. That's not good. Huh. It's unfortunate. I wonder if that's avoidable, because it looked like this was the correct setup, but then it just broke on me. Also, we're going to try it grabbing the shell here this time, so it's not going to be as time sensitive. Because we can just go up this way once the water goes down. Drop the pow on top. Wait, no. Shell went too high. Okay, let's get the pow out of the way first. Then, with the water at seesaw level, so we're on the ground, we'll jump out of this, drop the pow in this location. Cool theme with the hydropower, yeah. This incredibly slow dry bones pumping station. I don't know how to avoid what we're seeing there with the POW failing the last pump. I don't know what we can do to manipulate the setup to make that not happen. Possibly we need the bone shell to exert some more weight in the first place and maybe place the POW over the cloud instead? We'll have to see. We've got 30 seconds. I think we'll likely be taking a timeout in this room anyway. Yeah, it's water supplying power to the switch, exactly. Need the generator to do its thing. So even if you did put the POW on top while the bone shell is way down low, I think, what if we put the POW like this? And then let the bone shell rise below it, such that the POW has an additional block of movement. I don't know if the POW being killed by the on-off switch is consistently going to be an intended behavior. If it is, then obviously we do need to change our approach a little bit. So yeah, bone shell's going to be there. What if we take the bone shell and lodge the POW there instead, and then let it raise the POW bit by bit, such that it might buy us some additional time, perhaps. Let's... Oh, have to drop it properly here. There we go. And then let's wait for the next water cycle to take the POW up. And it doesn't look like it'll do quite enough, though. I think the POW does need to be parked on top of the cloud. Okay. You should get to sleep now? Yeah. That's probably not a bad idea from time to time. Yeah, it might just be something with the placement here. Or perhaps we place the POW on the left side and have the seesaw kind of pump back and forth. No, it wouldn't work that way because the seesaw does need to push the twister for this to work at all. But if we kind of do a back and forth pumping station that doesn't intersect with the block over there, like if we have POW on the right side, for instance. Except I mean, the bone shell is the element that is going to be moved by the water, right? So technically speaking, Yeah, that's not going to work at all. Okay, let's try to salvage this a little bit. That did not work. Notice that if you start to stomp outside of the water, it does continue once you're in the water. We haven't used that property for anything yet, but it feels like it will become significant. Let's just try to do the same setup as before, on the assumption that maybe it was just a little bit of jank that we needed to deal with. We'll see if the POW actually does consistently die to the on-off switch. That would be very unfortunate if so. Yeah, it is directly above. It will die there consistently because it's always resting in that position. And then you're just kind of stuck here. So there's some kind of adjustment that we're supposed to make. And that's why they have 4 rows for you to get through in the first place. I think it's because you do have to not let the POW rest in a cloud position when the switching is going to happen. So we could try the opposite of what I was doing earlier, where you have the POW on the right side, but then the bone shell is still able to pump on the left side here because the water will take it up and down. But because the POW outweighs the bone shell, it will still raise the seesaw high enough. Hang on, let's move this out of the way. It'll still raise the seesaw high enough to activate the twister, because the POW is always going to exert enough weight. Like that, right? So the idea is that you leave the bone shell and let the POW pump this way, perhaps. That actually looks right. That looks great, actually. So we're just using the fact that the POW has greater weight, and the bone shell, even though it is the only mechanism that is in motion, is being used as a counterweight. That's a very clever setup. Okay. That's another one down. Let's do number 3. Yeah, the counterweight idea is quite clever. The down arrow seems to indicate to me that there is going to be a ground slam that allows you to get an object through. We'd almost certainly have to ride on top of some objects as well to really do this properly, because I can't jump through that position, so in order to climb the vine, I myself would need to get bounced up by the seesaw. This is important because it means that we can potentially place an object over here, which can then be picked up on the right side and then dropped. So what we can do is also weigh down the seesaw, because if I weigh down the seesaw and just walk across it, I think we're actually able to just walk up a slope. Or what you can also do is place this such that the seesaw just simply doesn't move. Oh, whoops, don't want to do that. Hang on. Yeah, unfortunately going up the bone shell like that doesn't work either. But I think it is going to be something like placing the POW on the cloud on the right, grabbing it, and then returning it, and then giving it a drop. And then applying the same counterweight method as before, where you have POW on the right side weighing things down, and a shell on the left side pumping. Yeah, so the POW's initial position is here anyway. So the missing step right now is, how do I get on the vine to get over onto the right side. Well, this we will need to figure out. Probably just lowering the POW there first, but then you'd have to have a lot of swimming back and forth too. Whoops. Yeah. Very easy to lose in this position to just a bit of fuzziness. Fussiness, rather. But logically speaking, fuzziness as well. Yeah, it looks like the down arrow with ground stomp is going to be relevant somehow. We just need to figure out how. Because you can spring things up above, it's just that, why would you? I think you leave the POW in this position, try to lower the left side, and then try to trap the seesaw to make a ramp. That's still going to get into some potential issues, though. Yeah, because the bone shell, if there's no POW there, the bone shell can do the same thing it did originally and just pump by itself. So the POW doesn't need to be powdered for the counterweight system, I don't think. Because the bone shell will just do that work on its own. But what it can potentially do is if you have POW on top of bone shell, and then it could potentially give you a platform that you can ride through the central column. So what we'd be doing then is, whoops, not like that. A little bit tricky to ever put down a bone shell and have it behave. I was hoping to have it lift the POW, because right now in this position the bone shell is going to pump just fine anyway. The question is, but we can't just do a soft drop with a POW, we know that from experience. We'd need to have the POW in a certain position and have the bone shell float up towards it to push it. But if we can get the bone shell to push the POW up, then we can ride it out. And then just leave the shell to bob up and down, perhaps. So the idea here would be to perhaps place the POW... Whoops, it's not activating anything. On the seesaw over here, and then make the shell available underneath it. Nope, that was a mistake. I didn't want to go through that door. Okay. That's fine. And then we place the bone shell such that it will lift the POW without bumping it into the abyss, I hope. Nope, it's not going to work at all. The POW is just too heavy in that rest position. But what if it's completely above the seesaw like that? With the POW not really resting on anything else? I mean, you can definitely lift the POW with a ground slam, but we'll go back and figure it out. Whoops. Because where would it even go? I suppose if you raised a POW and then hit a block under it, then you could suspend it in position, but that doesn't help very much when it comes to getting over there myself. So let's try this again. Notice that the two lines seem to indicate that as extra cheese protection, you do absolutely have to climb through the vine, because there will be 2 rows of blocks there that you are precluded from jumping through. Yeah, if you get pushed up there at all, that's a problem. I do still like the original idea of creating some kind of ramp for the POW. Like, you just weigh this down and then you try to slam the right side to lodge this like that. And then that would allow me to probably just run up the ramp and get pushed up towards the vine, although you'd need to probably drop the bone shell first. Okay, that absolutely works. But then, what we would want to have happen is we need an object that is grabbable here that we would then use. One thing that it occurs to me is if you fire the POW while the bone shell is in a rest position on top of a platform, the POW does kill the bone shell. The other thing that occurs to me here is whether... I mean, you do need a 2-weight from the POW to keep the seesaw in suspension if you're going up the ramp. But then certainly the other thing I'm thinking here is... then what do you do from this right side position here? Well, if you place the bone shell here, then perhaps you could drop it into place from above, but it doesn't solve the issue of the POW that is still lodged down below. I almost feel like the 2 objects should be swapped. I don't think the bone shell will give me enough weight to work with. We can always try, though, and one way we could try it is... whoops. No. Well, the bone shell bump causes trouble if you're trying to walk with it. You're bumping up and down all the time. But we do have a method to walk over here. And it's a matter of shaking these foundations by enough that you can, whoops, I was hoping to slam it on that side and slam it to get the POW lodged under it. So I can take this across. Oh, no, too much weight. I probably should be able to. Let's try it again. Yeah, same idea as before. Except this time I will not hit the blocks myself. Whoops. Yeah, I need the water in a nice low position so we can actually reach the left side of the seesaw with a slam. Now, it's going to be there right away. What we can do is we can drop the bone shell over here and perhaps take the POW away. I don't know if that'll give me enough weight to work with, though. So let's say we do this. Would I be able to climb the vine? I'm not sure I would be. Nope. As you can see, the whole thing releases. So we know how to create a ramp. We know how to jump, or rather climb up to the other side. We can come back here with a loop and grab the bone shell, but I don't know why would we. Well, let's iterate through this and see. Seconds here. Let's jump out. Oops, totally missed. Yeah, because we know for sure that the power lodged in this position will help a great deal. Maybe we just pick up the bone shell on the other side and just drop it into location there, but the problem is that the weight distribution is wrong. Because we do want to wind up with the seesaw pointing up on the left side so we can actually have some chance of manipulating the twister, but we'll see. Yeah, because you can do that. Let's say you can grab the shell from the other side. We'll see, for the sake of argument. Ideally, I think I'd want the POW in this location instead, but, you know. Yeah, because it just breaks. Too fragile. Anyway, this totally lets you walk. That doesn't help when you don't know how to proceed from this position to do anything different, but... Yeah, like I was thinking, if you had enough weight on the left side to use the POW here instead, it would only really give you one pump. So let's see, because I think what you could do is you could pick up an object here past the one-way panel and come over here and then drop it. And then see what kind of movement you get. But I think that would still suffer from the problem of the POW being a little too heavily favored on the left side. Let's reset the room. Taking objects through the room resets in the event that they have inconvenient spawning locations might be something we might consider as well. Anyway, let's wait for this. Launch this over here. Yeah, I can't really carry the shell with me, but there's no point doing it when we can just unload it on this side. Let's actually just let it float instead of trying to toss it. Trying to toss it is just going to be a disaster every time. So now we need to figure out what to do with this shell. I like the idea of taking it up to the seesaw and dropping it there. Or we could even do a slam. And we do, the POW would come back down quickly and... I don't know about that. Oh, whoops, no, don't want to do that. I was trying to drop it. So it's trying to just drop straight down. I'll need to redo it. Notice the way that the POW got dislodged over there. I feel like that's got some potential as well. The problem is setting it all up as a remote activation from the top right of the screen. Whoops. Too easy to bump into things. Okay, let's try it again. And we'll take it around. Now at this point, do we actually take the one-way panel back? The other side? No, I don't think so, because we lose the opportunity to get back out. But supposing we... Whoops, no, I went too far. Okay, let's try this again. Let's just drop this. And go up. Nope, too far once again. I was trying to just grab it on the right side, and amazing how tricky it can be to do such simple things. After having done so much of it before too. Okay. Now we're on the other side. Now can we see about dropping the bone shell? Not nearly enough weight. We actually should have done the slam here. And then if the seesaw goes up, POW goes back down, it might have been able to push me up. But then we leave the seesaw, or leave the bone shell in place. Let's try it again. Let's try to do it with slam, once we reset the room. I feel like it has some potential, it's just that I still need to get myself over to the correct position. Anyway. Launch it. Then we'll hopefully not lose too many attempts to nonsense over in the corner. Well, we might as well see what the effect is in terms of playability. If we do, in fact, do the ground stomp here. Want to go low? It's doing that to me because I'm in a bone shell, right? Like, if I were not in the bone shell, it would be fine. But you'd still need to be standing remotely out there, which tells me that maybe we needed to kick the shell here. Yeah, actually, if the water is low, then the shell would cross, would hit the POW, and then you'd have this sequence of up and down movements, perhaps, as the seesaw stabilizes back in position. We'll see. This is going to be a little bit tricky. Okay. Well, let's see, because I suspect that if we decide to just kick the shell with good timing, like when it's able to sail across, well, it's not going to hit anything though. If anything, the bone shell is maybe pushed upwards. I still kind of like the ground slam idea, it's just we didn't know how to get out of it last time. And yeah, the POW does weigh things down a little too much there. But what happens if it is lifted? Because ideally you still want the counterweight system as before, where you have shell on the left side and POW on the right. That doesn't get me where I want to go. Anyway, we'll try it again. Yeah, as much as I like the ramp, and as correct as it seems to be, intuitively. We're still missing a step after that, in terms of just getting the seesaw back into position. Chesbunzo, welcome. Like, if you leave one of these here... would I be able to ride this out? And... yeah, Dustin, what's up with that? Bunzo is in fact a longtime friend of the stream, of course. So we can have that pumping back and forth. Maybe we do a soft drop and a POW, that would totally miss. But if we had the POW in this position here, and we decided to ride it up with the bone shell pumping it along the way, is it able to pump it when the water goes down? It's not, because the POW is too heavy. Would we position it like that? Nope, hang on. What do we pick up the POW? Well, let's see, because if the shell's in this position, there's nothing that is creating the initial movement that would make the seesaw move. So we still need to rethink the setup here. Okay, so we know how to get the POW on top of the left side there. Ideally, what we want to do is somehow destroy the POW from a distance. I mean, I did like the initial idea of doing a ground slam to raise the POW up above here, but so long as the POW is still surviving in this position, it weighs the seesaw down too much. And so we need to set up something with the POW on the right side, but something that I can only set up once I've passed into the top right corner. Possibly you can destroy the POW from afar over here with a shell kick, depending on how low the water is at the time. But again, that doesn't help me with actually getting upstairs. Possibly you can also do this. No, it's going to be lodged under the POW. Doesn't quite give enough weight. That's only because the POW is resting in an existing position, though, and keeping the bone shell down, though, right? Like, ideally, if you had a successful POW on top of bone shell stack, this is not an issue. The other thing, too, is that, let's say you put the POW here. Oh, whoops. That's wrong. Oh, we'll try it again. Yeah, I still like the idea with the POW pinning down a seesaw on the left. It's just that we have no idea how to get out of that afterwards. There was the ground slime motif that I mentioned earlier, but then you just run into the same problem afterwards of how the player gets back into the top right if you ever exit it. Basically, though, if we managed to do a POW drop on top of the shell. Let's see, because... let's say we're here. You can just slam that directly, and the POW would ordinarily pin it down. Possibly, though, you can kind of do a pump on the left side using this corner here. I feel like this corner is underrated. No, we should be able to get something interesting to happen there. Except that would still have the problem of the seesaw on its left side not making contact with the twister, which it does need to do in order to activate the central switch. So basically what we're trying to do is that we want the seesaw with the right side pointed up so I can climb through there. Underrated sounds like me on Woogles. Well, maybe so. Now, my Woogles rating, the thing about that Chess Bunzo is that for most of my time when I was active on Woogles, I was playing against people who were clubmates in real life or people who had met through tournaments. And because we were just mostly playing within the same pool instead of picking up rating points from randoms or from the bots, it meant that the ratings made sense amongst ourselves as a relative comparison of power, but that it's probably, in my case, not as high as it can be. But because I know that Woogles ratings do tend to be, nowadays, something that settle about a few hundred points higher than NASPA, if I'm not mistaken. I think we need to move the POW onto the left side. Like, once it gets pinned down. Because then... No, that won't work. Actually, no, that might work. Okay, we've got 35 seconds, so I actually should take to death here and show off the thing that I have in mind once we have enough time on the clock to actually execute it. So anyway, door number 3. So let's do the same thing as before. Let's get the POW lodged onto the seesaw. Then we can move the POW one column to the left, perhaps. And then if we do the ground slam, then the seesaw would be able to drop the POW. And then the bone shell would remain available. It's not really great, because I don't know how I'd get back over here. So the idea is that if the POW is in this spot instead, we can go way, way up. And if we're up here, then we're able to do a bone shell slam without sending anything down below. The POW would then drop off the seesaw, and then we can just drop the bone shell in this location and have it start pumping. Because now the seesaw is high enough that the bone shell is able to push it, right? So now we're on this side, and we can just drop the bone shell in this location here. And now it's pumping. Great, that's the solution. Mostly you just wanted to make a bad joke, yeah. I don't even remember what it was I said about something being underrated at this point. So, a bit of lag time here perhaps, but anyway, we got this. Now that was pretty interesting. That idea there, that the crux of it was just understanding how to use the single tile slot on the left to force the POW to drop, so... Chess Bunzo, it's not quite GG because this is a 6-in-1 puzzle. There are 6 variations on the same seesaw pumping concepts. And so we're potentially getting into some of the harder ones if they are ordered by complexity. So now, for instance, we see that we have another pumping station. Yeah, because you need the seesaw to make contact with the twister on the left in order to toggle the on-off switch. The whole concept behind this level is that you have to create some kind of setup such that you can stand on the right side and let the pumping station do its own work as the water carries the shell up and down. Now, this donut block over here might be interesting. We need to get the POW out of position somehow. The easiest way to do that is probably just to slam in this position and send it up above the donut block. And then at this point, it might be possible to... I actually want the POW to be on top of the donut block at this point. So how do we do that without destroying it? On top of the donut block on the right. Because the idea is that we need the bone shell to act as a pump without being lodged on top of anything else. Now... Oh no, can't go through here. I'd have to send an object up through here then. But if I'm able to get the POW in this location and have the bone shell push up towards it, that might be possible. But we'll have to reset this room just because we did activate that block inadvertently, so... Back in we go. Okay. So, over here, we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to get the POW out of here because we do need to manipulate it somehow. And Chessbunzo, yeah, always welcome to lurk. As you can probably see. So yeah, we don't want the shell to be lodged on top of the donut block. But we've also just discovered that we're not allowed to swim through this position, which means probably that we need to do something here to raise the POW over to the right side. Oh, there actually is a way to do that, which is we need to lower the center of the seesaw. This might be timing dependent. Let's... Oops, didn't want to do that. I just got trapped. Unfortunately, I do think I need to drop this by hand. Because the idea is that you send it to float up there, but you don't want it above the donut block. You do want it to come back down and give enough weight to the seesaw such that the POW is able to pin it down in an alternate location. I mean, this attempt is already blown, but we'll just show off what this means. Basically, if we can get the POW to pin down that location again, then we're in much better shape. But we'll need to figure out how to do it. Probably reset while we are sorting that out. Okay, so we know that perhaps if the bone shell goes through here before the POW has been released, then it can even lower the seashell. Not seesaw, seesaw rather. She sells seesaws on the seashore. She sells seashells on a seesaw? One of the two. Okay, let's drop this somehow. It's gonna go up. Since the POW is still in that position, I think the shell... No, it's gonna go too high. Way too high. Yeah, because if we can fit the POW into that slot, and somehow transport it over here, and then it creates a ceiling under which we can place the shell, and then it acts as a pumping station on top of the donut block. Notice that I don't need to do the ground slam to capture the POW, that we can just capture the POW manually like this. Which is potentially important when it comes to weighing down the correct elements at the right time, because what I would eventually want is actually to get the POW to weigh things down. I'm still trying to see what the setup would be here, because I have a pretty clear idea of what it should look like, just not how to get there. That one-way panel column is probably important. In fact, it's probably very important, because from our experience with Room 3, what we know is that if we lower this... Let's try this again. If we get something to pin down or lower the seesaw in this column, then we're potentially in good shape. But in order to do that, we would need to pin down a few things. Okay, so here, I actually want this column, perhaps. Whoops, keep bumping into that accidentally. It's going to blow the attempt every time, but that's how it goes. We're on top of this bridge, nothing is going to help us here either. On the other hand, sometimes when you do really pump something, can create some kind of critical reevaluation. Yeah, like if you pin this down with the POW, then what can you do? Well, for starters, might be able to do this. I'm able to drop something on top of that without it becoming an issue. Okay, soft drop over here. Except not like that, obviously. We want to do this properly. Yeah, I mean, we still failed to use the right side over here, which will probably be important, but you know, sending bone gel in that location to begin with would be plenty sufficient to just lift the POW. Let's redo it. Yeah, it's the kind of unmarked swim through the right side that I think is throwing me off quite a bit, because otherwise you could see a couple of possibilities. I think what will happen is, first of all, we do a bit of a slam here. Secondly, where the pipe protrudes underneath where the POW is now, that's actually where we want to place a pinning object. It'll take entirely too long to set this up, but the idea is that you set up something here such that you exert a lot of weight. Later on, you're able to capture it. And given that we do need a continuous pump in this level, though, I don't see how that would help. Yeah, basically we want to start some kind of interaction that will actually work. Oops. Nope, we've got to start. We won't need to start over just yet. We do have 220 seconds to work with. Might finish this room if we're lucky. So the question is, how do we get something up here? Well, we could do the POW push as we did previously. I'll take a little bit of setup here. Because let's say you have chess, not chess, but let's say you have lost track of what I was saying, just like getting my wires crossed. Let's say you have POW in this position here. And then you put the bone shell underneath it, but then how would you get the POW into a position in the first place where it's able to do that? Well, here's one way. Do a bit of a half tile placement. Totally not gonna work. Okay. That was good, we just needed to prevent it from doing the second pump. And the way we would do that is by placing the POW in a lower position. So I think we're actually close. No, let's not start over. We want to preserve the existing progress. First move should be getting the POW out of there, though, I think. Has to be the case. Because if the POW is able to go over here, so I think the timing will matter here, because we don't want the bone shell to float above the donut block. And then does it come back down? Yes, it does. And then POW should trap it, right? Nope, because it's going to go back up. But noticeably, if you are standing on a seesaw and if it takes you up, then you don't actually need to worry about vine spawn, I think. If you're just pushed up by the seesaw instead. If you're never in a jumping state. Alright, let's try it again. Yeah, it's this location here that is a little bit odd, because there definitely is something you can do timing-wise to get these to lower. Not sure I see what it is yet, though. I like the idea we had earlier of trying to pin things down with a weight in this location. In fact, we managed to lower the right side, and having a slight bump here could potentially help. Okay, door number 4. Well, we can kind of do the same thing as before with POW plus Bone Shell. We can make that function. Okay, so it's pumping over there. Now, if it's doing that, then perhaps we can make something happen. Because what happens if I let's place a half tile over here? Well, yeah, I have a pretty good idea of how I want this to look in terms of applying what we know to the part of the structure on the right, but don't know how to get the block up there in the first place. It would have to be above the seesaw, and then you would have to slam it up using the bone shell. Which probably means that, yeah, character would have to be present here somehow, so let's take a look. I need to reset the room at its current state, maybe, just given, not really. So you can send that up, but we actually want to lower the right side now to load up on something like the POW moving on top of the other donut. Just don't see yet how it's going to be put together with the issue that we had with Singer falling through on the right side. Let's try it again. Nope. Well then. Yeah, unfortunately this bridge is kind of in a way, and the invisible block underneath the donut block here is also very much an obstruction. But I should actually be able to slam this position with the bridge, right? Wait. See if that's the case. Because I think I am able to just slam it here. Let's wait for the water to go away. Yeah, you totally can. And so you just need a POW to be in a position that will be caught by that. Okay, so that has potential. So, let's say we place the POW over here. So, now if I slam in this position, I should still be trapped on top of the bridge, so no issues with the AI itself when it comes to specification. Okay, so now we need to get rid of the POW. But we need to do so in such a way that things remain pinned down. So, for example, oh, we don't want something on top of the... kind of lost my train of thought for a moment. Yeah. So what if we... Yeah, so I see the line there now that indicates where I will be prevented from jumping. But we managed to move the POW over to the right side. Might be a little more suitable. And Wii U kind of dying quickly on us here. Let's see. Because we know that if we had the bone shell, we could slam this anytime we wanted. To just have round 2 here, but yeah, this column is the issue, because I was hoping the whole time that I could load an instrument on the right side here and then just slam the seesaw and bring it up, but not that simple. Anyway, we'll need to reset the room in 130 seconds left. Don't know if we'll get very much done in that time. And what came in, have they finally deactivated the code redemptions? I actually did manage to grab a few last-minute codes today that people were giving out. But then I started to stream and I realized, okay, by the time I'm finished, the eShops will be truly dead. I was trying to keep my eyes peeled for anybody who got the dual purchase of Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars, which I understand is very community-level focused in a way that no longer works, but because 3DS owners got the Wii U code automatically, so they could have cross-platform between the two builds. People had a lot of Wii U codes left over at one point, but I wasn't able to grab any of that. But picked up a couple of other codes, though, just to round off that library nicely. We've got 80 seconds. We're not going to finish it in 80, but I'm trying to figure out whether we can do something to lodge the POW on top. We might not even need to lodge the POW on top. But we need the POW to be caught by something. Like, we need to just stand on something. So let's get the POW out of the area there again. You were extremely close to redeeming the game code, but someone redeemed it 3 seconds before you could download it. Yeah. Yeah, because the Wii U has that old system where in order to activate a code or make any kind of purchase, you did need to have enough disk space ahead of time, right? Yeah, I ran into that because I managed to snag a code for Darksiders 2, which is absolutely massive. It takes up 10 gigs out of the Wii U's 32 gig storage. And so I did have to frantically delete a few things to make it fit. And unfortunately, it meant that I accidentally frantically deleted my Pikmin 1 save file because I hit the wrong button when I asked about the save files. But luckily, it was a run that I had finished already. I played and finished it just off stream last week. But it does mean that my records from that first run will not be preserved, simply from clicking around everywhere in the UI and clearing up space so I could get my Darksiders code just tied to my account. But yeah, I managed to snag a couple of other things. A lot of games from older bundles that, you know, they seemed alright enough, just really didn't expect to have the attention for them. And still don't. You did get quite a few 3DS themes. And yeah, I actually did manage to get Runbow on Wii U. I'd actually just tried a demo for the first time last week, and it's very clearly tuned to be played in co-op. There are a few things with the spacing and the difficulty tuning in single player that might not be ideal, but... And there's a bunch of DLC for it that was never discounted. But if one really cares about that, the PC copy is available. Although, as I understand it, the Wii U version has some asymmetric multiplayer, where it's like other asymmetric multiplayer on the system, like Nintendo Land and so forth. It does have a gamepad versus other controllers mode of some sort. Okay, what are we doing? We need to get the POW on top of this slot, ideally. We may be having a bit of tunnel vision here where maybe that's not the solution and we're assuming too much about it, but... But we just need mostly... Oh, look at that, that we're able to just jump in like that. Nope, hang on. What if we're able to... I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to create the appropriate clip. Like if you set this guy down, it just sits there. But if you land on top of a shell, then there's that automatic drop that happens. 3DS themes you got from codes were... Oh, a lot of the Mario stuff. Yeah, I had a couple of those from the My Nintendo codes previously. I think I had most, if not all of them, in fact. I only noticed too, like, that there was actually a special Mario edition of the Hanafuda cards as well. And I didn't have that theme, I just had the standard one. I do miss the Hanafuda card bird effect in this game that was present in Maker 1, but didn't make it in Maker 2. Anyway, we've been staring at this for too long. We know that slamming this area on the bridge is fine if we want to do it. We don't know how to actually make use of that, because the POW doesn't look like it's going to be picked up. However, if the POW is in this location, well, the problem is that it doesn't get suspended. POW is nowhere near where I need it to be. Because it's not going to float by itself if you don't have any location for it. And you found your Yokai Watch code in My Nintendo, yeah. I'm pretty satisfied with the themes that I stocked up on. I mean, pretty much all of mine were from the My Nintendo rewards over the years as well. And there was definitely some nice ones in there. I've been finding that the 3DS's OS and home screen, they draw a lot of power, actually. I've noticed it because my battery life is not what it used to be. Anyway, we've been staring at this room for a little while now, and we haven't discovered too much about it. We've discovered that we can lower that side through a ground pound and lower this side through a ground pound. We discovered the different locations for lodging the POW down below, but not really that many. Yeah, it's almost touching, but not quite. Like, we need an additional object on top of it. very minimal setup here, though, so I'm counting on being able to do that. Can't get through here, so... But I feel like if we bounce it on top of a bone shell, it's a little tricky because everything is kind of designed to make it smooth to pick up the next bone shell, and it's not what we're going for right now. Nope. Nope. It does give you initial lowering, and that might be significant before it goes back up, because if it's able to give you initial lowering, then maybe you can drop a POW over here and make that function. Anyway, 100 seconds, we should probably take a death in this room just to buy ourselves time. I think your favorite of the bunch is Mario's Halloween because it plays the NSMB Wii Ghost House theme, yeah. You know, I'd actually been playing a lot of the original NSMB on the DS. I've been playing it on my 3DS in the DS mode, which is very lean and efficient because it kind of locks you out from all the OS features since it's completely switching to the DS side of the box. But the game is a lot more interesting than I remembered, especially in light of, first of all, how the NSMB series developed from there. Let's not do that. And secondly, what did or didn't make it into Mario Maker. Where you go back to something like NSMB DS and you kind of realize nowadays. So I've been playing it for the first time since it originally released back in 2006, actually. At least the first complete run. And it is a surprisingly inventive and experimental title. Even though I think it's not remembered as fondly nowadays, given all the fatigue that was being broadly experienced in terms of what was actually going to make it this year. So, yeah, this doesn't quite pump. We need everything on the right side. I just don't know how to do it yet. And we don't know how to make use of this one-way panel. I think it's mostly there to get things to line up properly when you let go of them. Anyway, we're only at the halfway point so far, so we've got a lot of level ahead of us, especially if the other puzzles are anything like this one. Nice thing about the non-linear structure, though, is that we can actually skip ahead to the other ones and come back for this one if we need be. Unless, of course, there's a central idea here that we must absorb properly first. So I think the first move has to be to get the POW out. I don't really see a good alternative to that. And we know that we can weigh things down like that, but that it won't last. And regardless, this current pattern here doesn't really do what we need it to. We want it to go the other way. But possibly... Yeah, again, we need to find some way to maybe park the POW in this column so we can ground pound down there, or ground pound on the left, rather, and then lift everything up into this slot. Currently, that would require us to weigh down the right side. Otherwise, it's much more trouble than it's worth. Just taking a look at this to see what it is we can do. I think we lodged a POW down here and just pin things down. That's an idea we saw many attempts ago, and I just didn't go back to it. Whoops. Oh, well, we blew it anyway. Let's just leave. Everything's too fragile. So, yeah. We'll basically try to ferry the POW over a little bit at a time. Where we can kind of come up, and if we place this POW over here, the slam should actually be able to pick it up. Anyway, we'll try it. Because the bridge here does prevent me from slamming down towards the POW, so we got this. And if we manage to continue pinning this down, there's a slight problem with this, which is, well, we can always send this up here into this middle position. Oh, nope, hang on. Nope, I was hoping to weigh it down. That's wrong. 196, let's just try it again. Yeah, very specific interaction here that we need to be aware of. But I think that might be the right idea so long as we've managed to get some kind of piece onto the right side. But we'll get over there and we'll try it. So we're going to lodge the POW down below. Can't do it anywhere here yet, but that'll come. Perhaps. Whoops. Okay, we'll pin it down. I'll try to pin things down even further. By, for instance, taking it up into this position. It should steadily be pushed up. I should be able to grab the POW from down below. We'll want to do it when the water is coming back down, so we have some weight on the seesaw. If you do that, then you're able to place the POW down below and have it stay. This is what I was looking for then. Okay, that's good, that's good. Now we grab the bone shell and we slam the POW to send it up on the right side. Okay, we've got it, we've got it. This should be how to do it. Yeah, that works. Because even with that positioning currently, we can just send bone shell up. But we don't want to accidentally hit the block, which is why we don't want to swim up there. Whoops. Okay, that should do it. Now we wait for it to do its job. We should be able to pass it. Yep, perfect. Took me too long to see multiple stages of that setup there. It's actually fairly simple, if you think about it. We just needed to find the right kind of timing and movement that would allow me to slip objects in the right corners. And so the actual insight there was, after wedging the POW into place, also placing the bone shell in the middle slot to keep it down. That was the main thing that we kind of needed to adjust around. We will have a timeout, but then afterwards we'll look at room number 5, which will be a bit different. Okay. Room number 5 here. I think Well, I mean, we can probably get both of the POWs out of position just by slamming, as before. But we're out of time anyway, so let's try it again. Okay, so room number 4 took way too long, but after staring at it and involving ourselves in totally separate conversation for a while, we do finally have it, so... No, it doesn't quite get you down. Yeah. There we go. Got it. We can probably send the other one up as well, using the infinite weight interaction. You didn't get the Yoshi theme code. Yeah, it's quite nice. I do have that in my random rotation. In retrospect, I'm glad I did keep up with some of those My Nintendo Code redemptions. Mostly though, I regret not grabbing more of those coupons that made gold points really efficient back in the day, where instead of just being this 5% cash rebate that we have now, where you would consistently get, you know, 30% off this, 30% off that. But of course, it wasn't until, you know, years later now that I realized I did want to pick up a couple of more expensive items for the 3DS and Wii U. But I'm pretty satisfied with what I ended up with, though. I don't think I really regret anything I missed. Okay, so at this point, we actually just need to maybe drop the shell in here, but then we need a donut block to drop. And then do we just bounce this on top? Not quite. I think we actually need to do a double stack here, perhaps, or maybe stack the POW at a halfway point here. I like this idea. But we need to be careful not to activate anything. Because then you can slip in the next POW in the slot after that. The problem is being able to actually drop this. Because the bone shell, of course, just has this incredibly annoying effect of not being droppable unless you do a bit of a jump first, which I suppose is just in keeping with the interface prioritizing docking yourself into the shell, but I think I know how to do it. You basically place the shell on top of a POW and then you just remove the POW to drop it. Well, let's try to do this first. Nope. Oh, wait. I'm kind of curious about how it's doing this with flower and donut block. Not flower, cloud and donut block, and then donut block. It's like, why cloud and donut? What exactly is it preventing? Anyway, we can get both. Oops. But yeah, kind of unfortunate that a lot of things that have moved to fully the subscription-based model are no longer going to be obtainable. And that a lot of dual screen specific feature sets are also going to be gone until the next time Nintendo wants to do dual screens. You know, people talk a lot about what they want to see in a future successor of the Switch in terms of feature set, and I keep thinking to myself, you know what would be really nice is if you had something that operated just like a Switch, except you have a second screen and you also have glasses-free 3D. Basically just a second kick at the can for all of Nintendo's existing ideas, which is how very often their best consoles come about anyway. Okay, pardon me. Just need to adjust something here for a moment. Okay, so the idea that I had here, now that we're finally back into a position where we have both POWs. So we need to figure out how to drop the bone shell in such a way that we can have it drop through the donut block, but not destroy anything else in the process. Also, you know what, we'll just take a POW with us through here, because then we have one less interaction we need to do to fish things out. In fact, if we do that, the bone shell just comes out right away. You know, I bet that taking a POW through the pipe might even make for a more efficient solution somewhere in here. But we'll do this. We probably didn't want to drop the POW like that. Let's get back here. The thing I want to do is perhaps have a POW in this position, and we just kind of take it out as we lower the donut block. Well, let's see if I can explain this and set it up at all. Like, we kind of stack like this, halfway. Let's move this guy out of the way, and let's not stand on top of the pipe because I might accidentally press down and reset the room. And what we can do is, you know, maybe put the bone shell up above here. We just grab the POW and then drop the bone shell down below. And then we constrain it. Nope, we need to constrain it in this lower location first. And even so, I think the POW will kind of push it up. Like, the idea is that I want to create a double stack here, such that the top POW prevents the bottom POW from pushing any further. Can I do that? Well, we shall see. Whoops. Anyway, let's take a POW back through with us. 50 seconds. Not really gonna work. Yeah, pretty good selection of themes over there that you have. I don't have the Xenoblade one, actually, with the Monado. Actually, the only paid one that I have that I didn't get through codes was the standard 1889 enough of the cards, but that's because I just picked that up this week. Previously, I just was pretty content to have my theme selection be something that consisted entirely of my Nintendo rewards. That would still give me, you know, the various Animal Crossing seasonal themes and other things like that. Yeah, so we need to find some way to set this up such that we create some kind of trap here that the shell is not able to escape. So it hits a makeshift ceiling that we have, instead of bobbing up above the donut block. One thing we can do is potentially block things off in such a way that prevents the donut block from respawning. If that's possible. I feel like it is possible and that we've used it in the puzzle before. I'm pretty sure yeah, I can actually think of which puzzle it was. I think, though, it might have been in a 3D World theme, which had different collision rules, though. Because of the way that 3D World generally resists object overlaps. In the standard themes here, I think blocking the donuts from respawning isn't actually going to work. There might be some particular ordering problem here as well that we need to think of then. Because let's say yeah, because previously I was thinking it might be Bone Shell Pow Pow, but then why wouldn't it just lift the entire stack from there if it does that? Whoops, no, we don't want to do that. Hang on. We do need to time it a little bit such that the water is going down at a time that I drop something like this. And yeah, when it came in, I did see that there was that one fellow on Reddit who was basically acting as the last-minute code distributor. You know, just to be a clearinghouse for anybody who was doing giveaways. Luckily, I still have access to some things like various message boards that shall remain unnamed that have pretty good mechanisms for things like gift exchanges that don't necessarily display the codes to the wider public, so you don't just have people lurk and farm the codes. That's one reason to not get yourself banned from message boards, even if you don't like them very much and don't get along with the people there, is that occasionally you might be able to camp there and get free stuff. But okay, this is maybe a little too fussy to be the setup that I want, but maybe we should watch the water level. Yeah, because then okay, that's a little better. Except we don't have the POW on the left side, because I totally forgot to grab it. But we can set it up like that. And instead of having this POW be lodged in this location, we can lodge it in this location so we're able to get it back out. I think that might actually work then, because the thing I'm looking at doing now is if we... Well, first of all, let's get the POW on the left out of here. I think I see how it should work, given the interaction that we just saw. We want this POW to conduct exactly the same function, except like this. Then, hang on, if we can, we'll drop this in. Nope, I was hoping to block. Not quite. Again, a little fussy to set up, but like it is doable. In fact, we'll leave it in this location here for the moment while we get a POW down. Then we drop this. Once the water goes down, let's wait. Nope. Nope. It's one of these interactions that's fussy enough that makes me feel like it's less likely to be the actual solution, but I do like it otherwise. It's just that we do need to watch our timing relative to the water level so the shell's not bouncing back immediately. Okay, that's correct. That's what we want. So, eventually, we want it to be set up like this. But, we'll want it... we'll stand on the left side so we lower the left side by enough that I can grab this POW. That's totally not working. Okay. Because now we've lifted the bone shell, which is not good. Okay, so let's say we... Well, it shouldn't just... Okay. A little too fussy. I don't think it's going to be that. We need to find something that's going to be a little bit of a cleaner solution. And given that all of the other solutions so far have been actually relatively simple in terms of the sequence once you see them. Here's the thing, we should look at how far this seesaw extends as well. Does it give me enough room for the bone shell to go anywhere but this column? I don't think so. Let's raise everything. However, I think it's possible that if we drop it in this column... nope. Build it. What I actually want to do is pin it down over here. All the way to the bottom. The seesaw is clearly long enough that it can reach. Or we just pin it down here now. Actually, that's a lot better. Let's do it this way. Pin it down here now so we don't have something trapped in the central column if we avoid it. Let's wait for the water to go down. Nope, that was not what I wanted. I wanted a soft drop. But we can't always get what we want, apparently. We got 60 seconds. I'm going to take the death here so we can have a nice, generous time limit for trying this. Should be able to do it. Okay. Now, let's try it again. Planning on getting a new Nintendo 3DS. Yeah, I regret not kind of getting a spare new Nintendo 3DS back when they were available. I mean, you know, it was definitely not a priority at the time. I was thinking, well, at the time I don't really play my 3DS much anymore, and that my current one would last me a long time. But then, my current 3DS is no longer in great condition. Sometime over the hiatus from when I was playing Samus Returns in 2017 to when I was playing Samus Returns again in 2021, most of its battery life is kind of gone. The screws in the back are kind of stripped, so I don't really have an easy way to replace components, and a circle pad has been dead for some time, I mean, it still works, but the actual circle on top of the stick has completely broken off, and I'd repaired it a few times, and there's no more repairing it at this point, so... And it would just be a matter of replacing the components if it weren't for the fact that the screws were also stripped. So... It's too bad, because I've got quite a lovely 3DS that served me so well for many years. And, yeah, you don't particularly know or care which games you're pirating as long as you're committing the act of piracy, I guess. Also, okay, so we need to slam on the other side to raise this POW. It's past the fulcrum. Hang on. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the whole shop closure thing has rejuvenated my usage of both the Wii U and 3DS. I'm quite fortunate that I did have my Wii U around and plugged in and available in my current setup, mostly because I got it back in action for Mario Maker 1 last year. Yeah, because I was streaming quite a bit of Mario Maker 1 back in 2022. Alright, let's see if we can finally get this to cooperate. Let's place one POW down here. We'll hopefully kind of catch it at the tip. But we'll see. Let's get rid of that POW over here so we can actually place things where we want them. We just weigh the whole thing down. Lodge that. Okay, great. That's actually what we want. Good. Now, let's see if we can set things up. Oh, we still need to move that POW, I think. And we can set things up nicely where we can drop through. And maybe we can get the shell in position and then just remove the POW from the bottom area and then have everything fall into place. Can I actually do this? Yes. Okay. With difficulty. Alright, let's try to get the POW down here as well without killing anything if we can. We can avoid it. Nope. I was trying to soft drop this and I think it was just too close to the wall. It's deeply annoying. You genuinely don't know what games to pirate exactly, yeah. But you know, if you go to the trouble of modding a system, I guess you feel like you want to mod something. One thing I'd like to do at some points... I mean, I'm kind of streaming off a pretty creaky old computer, so I don't know if it's realistic for me to stream anything I play on Dolphin. But I do want to look at some things like some of the mods that were made for the new Super Mario Bros. Wii. And because there were some fairly notable ones that I never actually got around to trying, so... It might be a fun streaming experience, especially from a Mario Maker perspective, just to see what people have done with modding more recent games. It's always interesting to see what does or doesn't take off when it comes to ROM hacking scenes. The way that, you know, lately it seems like a whole ton of people have been playing the Strawberry Jam hack for Celeste. I feel like I've seen that all over my feed lately. Oops. Okay, we'll put the POW here, we'll weigh down the seesaw and just let it catch. We'll use this POW to do it. And then hopefully get a better position this time. And hopefully get a better soft drop this time, which... Okay, good. Nope. Let's try to grab it. Execution errors all day long. Which was why it was so miraculous that we got through the Terramis level so quickly today, because it wound up just being perfectly executed under extreme time pressure. My first time seeing the ending, so not something we count on happening very often. Whoops, come on. No, unfortunately the water level is sometimes just high enough that it braces the slam. I guess we need to let the seesaw settle down a bit first. Yeah, because even at the very bottom, if the seesaw's wobbling, I might miss. And I might just miss anyway. Okay. There we go. Finally. Not the most reliable, but perhaps that margin is necessary in order to... Wow. I warned myself not to do that. I was pressing down a little prematurely because I was expecting a jump over the pipe, and that did not happen. Okay. Let's do the slam again. Nope, miss. There we go.
place it down there. 30 seconds, it's not going to happen, but may as well inspect the setup as much as we can. Yeah, not really surprised at the timeout. I mean, there were some holdups along the way, technical faults. I still like the idea I'm going for, it's just that it's a little hard to set up without running into issues. Mostly because of the speed at which the donut block respawns. That water's just kind of pushing the shell up and down before I can set something up properly to block it. But we did see on one of the previous attempts that blocking it with a POW does seem to work. You know what, let's just do this side first. It'll be easier that way. Oh, nope. I was trying to slam and then it just missed. Or rather, the bone shell hopped to the right one slot further than I expected, and when I pressed down to slam the seesaw, I just went down to pipe instead, which is the kind of thing that happens when I play. Okay. Let's launch this as slow as we can. Yeah, we'll just get it to catch. Not quite. Not quite either. There we go, come on. Maybe just kind of in the middle pipe here, directly under the twister. That might be useful visual reference. No, it's not going to go. It's these little minute differences in collision. That's fine, except now I can't get out without actually activating it. Let's try it again. I feel like it's been a while since I've actually had to think about the puzzle. I mean, I have a particular setup I want to go for, but I just haven't been able to test it because the setup phase takes quite a bit. There's some time to go through. Come on. There we go. Nope. Once again, the bounce. I hit down, but I think at that point I'm close enough to the seesaw that it doesn't recognize as a ground pound because I don't have enough space over the surface. Because I don't have enough space over the surface, I just keep on bouncing, and because I'm holding down at that point to try to do the ground slam, I just exit the pipe. So unfortunately, this pipe placement is just a little bit hideous, but yeah, let's try it again. The pipe is just perfectly placed to cause me problems. Okay. I think I should be able to catch that. In fact, if we get the bone shell out of there, I might get a little bit more height off the seesaw to... Okay, that's good. There we go. Now let's see if we can set this up without breaking anything, and we broke it. Alright, might take a while to execute this. Haven't really even gotten to test a theory in several attempts. Let's not jump on this right away. Let's be relatively careful. Okay. Just slip in over here without breaking anything. We can avoid it. And once again, we will try to grab this time instead of whatever it was we did last time. It's easier if I jump out of it than if I try to set it down. Hang on. Nope. Okay, there we go. Finally. Now we need to get the seesaw launched back down. The way we do it is we release this. The problem is that if the seesaw winds up beneath the bone shell and pushes it up, I think it'll push the POW within the same stack. So we need to be fairly quick about this, perhaps. Like that. Oh, and it doesn't go low enough. We actually need to stack the POW lower. Like... Yeah, we actually need one POW to be below the donut block as well. We don't have a lot of time to set this up without the bone shell causing problems. And then, well, everything's up now. You know what? Can I not have the donut block reset so quickly? That's... Okay. This is a bit of a problem. Yeah, I kind of misjudged the water level here. I expected I'd have an additional tile of flexibility. And now we just blew this all up. Okay. Yeah, this room I think has been much more execution dependent than the other ones. It's... I mean, I'm still looking for the correct setup, but it seems like most of our time has been spent just trying to get things to sit in the correct places. Which is kind of unfortunate, but... Okay, let's see. We can raise this. And of course, once you pass that point... I actually wonder, what do we do something like POW shell POW? We'd need to release one of these, though. Get it out of the way. Well, I mean, if we put that down there... It just keeps getting pushed up above the donut block every time. So we do need to constrain it with something on top. It's just that it didn't go low enough. So if we had something like a shell POW POW stack here, that might be fine. Also impose some additional seesaw weight, but with the POW on the bottom of the stack, though, because it never floats off the seesaw, it's just going to pin it down completely. So, the bone shell does need to be at the bottom of the stack. Anyway, 30 seconds, this will be a death. Let's... back to it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, number 5. Whoops, same idea. We'll just try to fish everything out as before. think we do want to fish everything out. I mean, maybe it is the case that we need to set up the POWs a little bit differently. We also didn't consider the counterweight system, and maybe that's what we need to do. That if you look at this, if the problem is the bone shell getting trapped, perhaps we need to set up the counterweight with POW in one spot. Perhaps it's going to weigh things down, but not if we weigh down the right side on top of that, so... Unfortunately, it is pinned down pretty firmly. But if we basically try to balance out the seesaw with POWs in two separate columns, and then get the bone shell pumping up and down using the left side, and we don't run into issues with it being trapped above the donut block, because the donut block is the whole problem here, and we do need to just kind of leave it alone remotely, and so we should be thinking back to how that earlier puzzle in the series worked. I think it was number 2 or number 3 where it was all about setting up the counterweight. And the bone shell does the pumping, but the actual seesaw setup is not straightforward as all that. For example, let's say we drop this. Then what if we... yeah, the distances aren't going to be quite the same, but... What if we actually did this? And then tried to drop the POW here to basically... balance things out. Now, why does the weight favor left side by that much, considering that they're both just POW blocks here? It seems like it's quite severely favored. And it's not like they're at a very different distance from the fulcrum here, so I wonder what's going on here that there's so much weight on the left side. There's something going on here that doesn't quite make sense to me mathematically. I guess, yeah, this distance isn't quite the same. A rather alarming difference, though. Anyway, the bone shell is dead, so this attempt is also dead, but... we'll try it. Nope, not quite. There probably is an easier and more convenient way to do this, but I'm not going to find it. It's just not how we do things around here. Okay, so... interestingly enough, we do know from the 2 initial positions of the POW that actually stabilized things pretty well. Yeah, I see. So if you have POW on the left side, that's 3 columns from the end. POW on the right side is 4 columns from the end. I think we definitely want the shell to be pumping on the left side. We should actually maybe set up this side first then. Because it's easier to drop in the other side afterwards. Maybe even drop the shell over here on the surface. Although perhaps not. No, because that just becomes lodged on top. Yeah, I guess the one tile of difference over on the right side actually is extremely significant when it comes to the weight. And the calculation there, so... Because of that, I think that should actually be just POW on one side and shell on the other side, and the second POW is going to be... It's actually going to be 2 POWs in the right column, and then a shell on the left. Because basically you have one POW that goes up and down without being trapped above the donut block, and then the other one gets trapped on the donut block. So, let's get the other one out of there. Hard to get out of this column at this point. Let's just restart for time. Rather critical that we do. Okay, now we still have one more puzzle room after this one too. Because it is a 6-parter. This is just part 5. So, we might potentially have an extra POW here that we need to do something with. Nope, come on. Nope, still no. Having to synchronize around both of these factors. Donut blocks as well as haunted mansions or what have you. Nope. Oh. It'd be nice if I could just fish out one of these guys. Just go up and let it go and get things to normalize. Wow, I haven't been able to hit a single one. Let's... There we go, finally. Nope. Nope, just trying to raise this thing, and... I suppose if you used one house to just weigh things down in advance, that would actually be a lot more helpful. You get 2 sets of data here that you would just be able to pop up like that. Okay, so we're gonna drop this guy here. I think the water level's not gonna work out quite the way I hoped. And yeah, even dropping this on top doesn't quite have the same effect. Which is curious. I guess the concept of the cloud, now that we see it, is that you can't load anything in this column. Oh, that's kind of interesting. But we would need to flush the other side back out. Okay. Now, if I'm occasionally pausing, it is because I'm trying Trying to save my voice a little bit. Hasn't been in top condition today. Luckily, this is the last level we'll be doing, and there is, of course, the substantial part 6 at the end of this part 5 that we're looking at right now, but we'll see how long it takes me to find the actual setup here, because I'm trying to think about how our counterweight system had worked previously. Because I guess we haven't really been able to recreate it yet. But you definitely need more weights on the right side than on the left in order to lift up the seesaw and have the twister interaction, which is kind of important. Like if you put us down here, same problem as previously, which is that even if you drop it like this, then it significantly outweighs it, which is a problem. Nope. Mistake. Okay. Yeah, the water timing does create a number of issues. Because what is the solution going to look like, really? I mean, you know that you're going to need the shell bobbing up and down. And possibly just kind of releasing pressure on the left side, but now you've got to be thinking, you might have been saying, anyway, no, I lost track of that. Let's think about that. Okay, so we tried bracing the right side. I think we probably still want to flesh all the pounds out to get them in a position. A lot of things will be too tricky otherwise. We got a 112. Look. So yeah, because of the distances involved, we know that we can't just dump a POW on both sides and be done with it. But let's say you balance it out with POW plus shell. Shell would still kind of end up in the new zone, no? Well, the benchmarks aren't great. So how do we impose weight on the right side? Well, I mean, we've got to drop things through the donut block for sure. Their hands are completely tied otherwise. Oops. My second left on this play. I'm not going to make it, but... Oh, and we just blew it completely. That was not intentional, but might as well have been. Well, if we're really jammed, we can look ahead at room number 6, but we've been doing it in sequence so far. Let's not stop now. So we need to get it pumping, but we need to not have it get trapped on top of this guy here. Okay, might as well grab some things we can use over here. So, in terms of the POW placement, like we know we need this to be popping up and down. We know that the left side has to point upwards in the middle of those cycles. The fact that we have donuts in both locations here makes me think that maybe we should be taking them as a location a little more seriously. Let's see about this. If I had left one POW here, perhaps. Because then we... Whoops. Would still be able to balance things out a bit, but favoring the right side, which is what we want. So we actually just want to redo this room for moments. Indeed, what we're going to do is quite deliberately try not to raise this one from the clouds. Fair bit of trial and error in doing this, of course. And nope. Mistakes were made. Again. Okay, so yeah, we'll leave the cloud one in place for a moment. On the left side. Come on. Nope, just trying to set this up so I can actually project things up. Surprisingly difficult to do it. It's always just slightly out of reach. Kind of need to press it in advance and let it spring up. Nope. Very unreliable to do it that way. But, yeah, the more I look at it, the more I think I want to keep the one under clouds, and that having it pop out of clouds in the first place is an irreversible step that we've been trapped in for too long. Nope. There's got to be an easier way to do that, no? Like we kind of lower things first and then do the slam. Nope, too slow. It'd be really nice to lower things first just to make everything a bit narrowly simpler. There we go. Way too hard to do that. But supposing we keep this POW in this location, and we finally have some flexibility. It's going to point up. But then we can get this to pump on this side. Oh wow, that might actually be the answer. That actually is the answer. Took me so long to see, but once we figured out that the cloud is there for a reason and was discouraging me from getting that particular item out of there, we finally saw it. That took way too long, that one. Much too long, but that's what happens sometimes when these really open-ended setup-based solutions, which we've seen in a couple of different 8-taster puzzles at this point, that's stylistically just what's going to happen. Okay, so we've got a very similar kind of setup as before. Notice how the pump in its initial location works just fine. But that we need to get it to work again after somehow getting myself up to that location. That is showing you how the initial is going to work. Notice that I can't grab anything off of the location here. I don't think so anyway. Well, maybe I can if I do some kind of stack, or perhaps have the shell push pow on this side. And why would I want that? When I actually do want initially to be pushed instead. So I need something that I can do on the right side without wrapping down here. As before, this donut block over the location here is where I could drop a POW after the fact. So if I have one POW right now that basically just exists to get me up to where I need to go, then I just need to find a way to remove it, but then we can just remove the POW straight up perhaps, and then shell will be in position. Could afford to have a bit more weight there. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Maybe even this corner over here, that we can trap it. And then, if you slam it, it will trap. So that's going to be the initial thing that we do, and then we can have bone shell plus POW hanging around on the top right, but then the question is how we get rid of the lower POW to release everything. And whether we can do it somehow, like get a shell kick too. Properly sail down there. I think it actually might be doable. That, whoops. I mean, we don't want to ride a shell here, obviously, but about 30 seconds, let's just take the death and just redo this room. Gives you a lot of the appropriate initial locations, which is helpful. No, we're on number 6, at long last. Which means that we don't want to be too close to the clock, I suppose, if we grab the final coin. Although, given the positioning of the key coin under the checkpoint, perhaps there is some kind of anti-key death mechanism if you do in fact time out at a critical moment. I think I know. We actually do want the bone shell in the bottom to remain as is. And we can slam towards it. The reason is that if it's a bone shell there that is dislodging, I'll show you, even though this attempt is blown, then a POW hit. Oh no, it's not going to be trapped, okay. What if it is not in the floating state? Okay, it is always going to be the floating state because it's below the waterline. Never mind. No, whoops. There we go. First of all, we can probably send one up, maybe? That would be interesting if so, even though it would block off the top of the donut block. Now, what I want is I do want shell plus POW on the right side, I think. We'll just loop around and we'll drop a POW back into position. There's one aspect to this that we haven't solved yet, though, which I'll hopefully able to explicate when the time comes. Let's drop this for a moment. This slot over here is important. Let's drop the POW over here. And we'll slam it. Nope. I said slam it. I didn't say let go. Hang on. Let's reset it. Lots of execution errors, as usual. Not as many so far as we encountered in some of the earlier rooms, but still bad enough to be worth noting. Yeah, this room signals the target setup pretty well, actually, with the initial position being one where pumping is going to be just fine. So let's... Nope. No. That's okay. No, it's not okay because the ramp will cover that. Okay, let's do this again. We should probably have gone around the bottom instead of trying to go through directly. Yeah, we'll actually just drop this out immediately. And we'll... Let's try it again. Smashing everything in sight. Okay, well, let's do this again. Drop it over here. Can I write this down? Ideally. No, we'll just let it press. We just need to go down here, out of the way. Then we'll drop it down here without activating it. And then it will get lodged. Okay. So, the problem that we see immediately is how do we get rid of that other POW? Because we want this ramp in order for me to go up. Possibly I do want to loop around such that we get rid of the POW here first. We move it out of the way. And if we do move it out of the way, then we have it available for the drop later on, which is great, but then we might need to use the second bone shell to add some weight. If we can. And pin things down. Either that or we use the second bone shell to hit the POW. And we'd have to swim over in such a way that we are able to get up to the ramp without issues. So the idea would be that we fire this shell. But then we need to do it in such a way that I'm able to escape without accidentally activating the block that is above the seesaw. I mean, either that or we just swap out these positions where we have a bone shell down there, and, well, as I said before, though, the bone shell doesn't look like it's going to do the job that the block is doing currently in terms of sustaining weight on a seesaw. What if I drop this and have two shells? Would I be able to sustain my position? Not really. Still need to get back up. Now, the issue is that if I grab one shell, I think it's likely to kill the other one. Well, let's see if we can grab from the side and give this a little bit of separation. Nope, we just blew it up. Okay. $80. Let's just reset this one. We're getting close. But we need to deal with the POW somehow and just remove it from the equation. Currently don't quite see how we'll do it, but interestingly enough, if you just do this, you can skip a couple of middlemen here, except of course now the POW is the location I absolutely need to hit. And yeah, there's no collision there with the lower bone shell. However, yeah, it might even be. I have to consider some alternative solutions, but no, we have 20 seconds, we'll just take it and run off briefly before we get straight back into room 6. As if nothing has happened. So yeah, I think we do pin it down with a POW, but then we need to figure out how exactly we'll release it afterwards. Whether it's through a shell kick or something else. Okay, it's going to go up. Yeah, it's going to go down. Alright, if we can get down, that'd be great. There we go. Okay, so that's lodged there now. If we can destroy it remotely, that would be preferred. I feel like we might even need to lodge it further. But yeah, we grab one POW, we get it out of the way. The question is, can a second shell be used remotely? Looking at this, because we'd still need to, if we exit here, we'd still need to climb back up. That's the main concern. I don't think we're going to outpace the shell if we try to fire it. Well... if you get rid of the POW down there... yeah, maybe you try to do something right by the ramp. Nope. Not it. You know, like doing something like that. Not like that exactly, but the idea would be that if you have something like a POW and bone shell stack over there, that could potentially work for taking it out. But it would be better if we could have some kind of remote destruction of the POW that I wouldn't need to babysit. Let's, you know, where you can just land something there and expect it would just work. Let's see. Anyway, we need to reload this room for the shell, so let's do that. Yeah, we know how the pumping station is going to work, but we fundamentally still need one shell on the left. What it could be, actually. I wonder if we can pin down that side by enough to have a POW and shell stack there. Make very much sense. So the pump's going to go. And then once you take those out, then it no longer goes high enough to do the pump in. Nope, hang on. That was not how I expected that to go. Okay, POW stays in position, which is good, except... yeah, possibly I needed to hold something. But yeah, we've gotten a slot over here. I feel like it's going to be something like a POW activation that destroys. Now, what are the... those in units at some point. So let's think about this. So we have this idea of using the POW in this bottom left slot. We just don't know how to get rid of it. And get rid of it in a way that allows me to get back out before anything is too late. I think, though, that this gives you enough weight to work with, and that combined with some current affairs, no, it doesn't really go far enough. What we need to figure out, in fact, is if we do some kind of big shell kick from here, what is the trajectory? Probably not a very critical problem, just a curiosity, but... okay. Yeah, Twister, of course, we haven't been using it to sustain any particular items, it's just there for the hide-and-seek mechanism. And then, yeah, we can't bump towards that while we're riding the bone shell. That's going to be consistently a bad idea. Okay, so we know that you got the former PM of Finland here. We'll pin it again over here, even though we don't quite know what to do with that just yet. Okay, so we've done that. And that was a timeout anyway, so... fair bit of work, therefore not much. I was admittedly not keeping it on a time. How is it? Okay, yeah. Anyway, we'll... try to find some kind of equivalence here. Okay, so... we do the ground slam on the right side. Yeah, that's not going to work because we do still need a delivery up here. Oops, no, too fast. Okay, so as usual, we've got way too many minutes to actually try to figure this out. There's a very specific movement. So, as I was saying, the last move should be to get the How out of there on the right side and then drop it back in. Possibly that's what we need. We just need to drop more objects there. Oh yeah, we need to slam it. Okay, so everything's going up and down. You've got a copy of the POW. And did we drop both the shell and this? You know, actually, no. I think the initial drop might even be enough to dislodge the seesaw. Because it'll want to try to even out, right? So maybe the seesaw will just wind up on top of the POW, and this will actually turn out to be surprisingly simple. Not surprisingly simple. Okay. Never mind. But now we're basically back to where we started. Not necessarily. Because, supposing we take this away. Oh, no. That won't go. Well, I mean, we can still get some of this back into position, I think. Well, we'll see. Okay, so we still don't really have this set up yet. We need to get back upstairs, but then we need to kill the POW. How do we do that? Back upstairs. So yeah, we're kind of back into the position we were in before. Exact same position, in fact. We've got our early career academics over here. We got Power creating a massive obstruction over there. Just pretty standard fare. We know that ultimately it's going to be the power drop down here. We just don't know exactly how that's going to happen. And given a sparsity of the information here, I think we should be able to take it up, in fact. Now the problem, of course, is that we don't have up throws. I'm surprisingly late in the series. Oh, that's a mistake. However, okay, so that works, but yeah, it's just doing it remotely from this corner that we haven't figured out yet. In terms of what that can actually be done to support this problem. At this part of the program. Yeah, but it is going to be some kind of drop through the central column. It's just that we need to revise our estimates. Now, one thing that might potentially be neat. I think we'd already determined that putting the other POW and getting things to be done here a little more, whoops, predictably. Didn't mean to break it. And yeah, you can't bob here and there. That is never going to work. We've got to probably take the time out. Okay, same idea. Oh, except I said I would take to death, didn't I? We should. Shield, sir, welcome. Hope the trolling has been going well lately. We're on the last puzzle that I have not yet finished in the puzzle contest. We're not doing a queue, actually. This is a contest judging day. I am still doing viewer levels on the weekend streams fairly regularly, though, so hopefully you'll be able to catch me with something. I don't think I'll be able to stay long enough to do any additional levels past this one today anyway, so... particularly because we've had a couple of really long rooms here, where I can't quite get the seesaw set up to line up, but we'll try to make it happen. Anyway, same idea as before. We can always fish out the POW first, and then have a bit more flexibility. Nope, didn't want to hit that. That's a mistake. Yeah, unfortunately, the execution mistakes sometimes just reset so much at once. Far too much to deal with. So if not POW, then what? Because one of the ideas I had was potentially to do some kind of remote release of the bone shells. The idea being that POW block can destroy them just fine. Well, let's take a look at this. Yeah, we should park this one on top of the bone shell for sure. And we know how to trap the first guy. Individual one. Yeah, we know how to slam this too. Just get the closest thing to an accreditation. Okay, so we're able to go up, but then this is the same state that we've been trapped in a couple of times. That at this stage, I don't really know what I'm doing. And notice that we are able to get up and down pretty calmly. That's a good sign. So we have the other bone shell that's basically unused moments. We have this new bone shell that's doing very well, in fact. It allows the seesaw on the left using the shells that are already there. Dropping a POW from above may dislodge the shell anchor. I think I had tried that, didn't I? Like, just dropping here? I mean, I don't know how to send the shell on the right back there because we do need it as the delivery mechanism for the stage adaptations that we're seeing here. Yeah, I just need to unpin that somehow. Unpin the POW. I'm assessing whether there's a reason why I might want to go back around for a second loop. There might be. Without the pressure of actually playing. Not uncommon, but takes a little bit of... Wow. Again. Takes a bit of finesse given that the Wii U shop anyway was a little more stringent about how many accounts your identity can be tied to and so on. You grab POW if you have 2 POWs in a stack to the right if you use 2 POWs. I would have to use Bone Shell, POW, and POW. You can't just have 2 POWs because the base of the structure would not float and sink with water. A lot of this stuff in the puzzle only works because you have a very strictly defined water level. Well, let's see. We have to think about this one. I mean, whoops, nope, don't have a name for it yet. You know what, let's just stand off to the side. Close enough to Andante. If not quite there. Okay, so we can still squeeze through here. In fact, squeezing through here deliberately might even be helpful. If we have the second shell here, I mean, we don't have the opportunity to do an up throw or anything, but something like a ground pound would have eased up a number of issues. I wonder if I'm able to drop. Both the film and a book like this as well. Oh, you know what? That's it. That's it. We give it a push while we're climbing the vine. Now, the positioning is a little bit off here because we were maybe a little bit aggressive, but that actually is it. We push, and then we can go back up, and then we do the power drop. Okay, we actually have it. I didn't think about how I could push the vine and climb back out without activating anything, and that it would do that much. It's surprisingly simple, and it's simple enough that you can kind of instantly recognize it as probably the intended solution. Because it's not only simple, but it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense. And so it meant the ingredients that we had for this were pretty simple in the first place, so we just needed to think carefully about how it was going to go. Well, I mean, we'll see. Let's prove it first. Don't want to say anything about that until we prove it. There's going to be time up anyway, so. Alright, we should be able to get it on this timeout. As long as we get things to line up as conveniently as they did that time. And it was still a little bit off when we saw it, so who knows, maybe there will be added complications. Okay, same idea as before. We drop this and this. And then we do the thing where we launch this to make the ramp. And then we slam it to make it stay. Okay, now we get up here. And then we're not going to drop this guy yet. We don't need to do it until we've dislodged the seesaw, I think. Or maybe we do, because right now I can't reach. But if we ride out the donut block, maybe... No. Let's watch the water positioning, because I think it will matter. Yeah. Water goes down, then we go push. Here's the problem, is that it's a little out of position here as well. We're pushing that hard. So we don't want it to go quite so suddenly, but the thing is, if we don't have the POW here, we can't actually push far enough. Well, let's see here. Wonder if at any point we actually do have to use the shells as intended. Very quickly get off the POW. Yeah, because we are imposing a little too much weight on it right now, right? But the part of the issue, though, is the POW is bouncing to the right. When it bounces to the right, it has a bit of weight that it's not imposing when it's closer. See, when it's closer, it's doing just fine. And it can activate a switch. But if the POW is pushing quickly enough that it is getting over to the right, then we have some trouble. So we need to prevent that from happening somehow. Yeah, don't be on too long. I think you're probably right, but let's just set this up again. It's not too hard to set up, at least. Yeah, you think it's caused from Mario being on too long? I think it's caused from the streamer being on too long. Past a certain point, that's just how we play. Yeah, so you just kind of get a really light tap, right? As long as you tap it far enough to... Good. Now you see, same problem, where it's going too far to the right. I think actually what we need to do is we need to ride the donut block down and then drop to the left. We don't drop the POW directly in this column. We drop it a bit to the left. And then we push it a bit. I'll see if it's doable. Because then if it's being projected a tile to the right, at least it's not bouncing far enough to introduce a balancing issue or anything like that. Whoops. But basically, if we... Okay, no, I messed this up. Let's redo it. Lost track of what I was doing with the resets along the way. Okay, same idea. Yeah, it feels like we're kind of a big reliance in a big the word escapes me right now. In a scenario where, anyway, I lost track of my point. I'm much too tired for this. I was going to make some kind of point about switching between these alternative methods, and yeah, because we basically want one POW to be dropped in this location instead. It doesn't get on the seesaw though, but if you have pushed seesaw over to this point anyway, I don't think that'll matter too much. Okay. Yeah, we'll push it in a slightly different position this time, so we match it a little better. Like I can ride it down and then drop it to the side. Nope, I was trying to drop it, and unfortunately doing the soft drop and the climb at the same time is a little too tricky. But if it's kind of dropped in the center like this, we should be able to nudge it. In fact, if we're rescuing the POW from over here, the ramp is still active. Why are we even rushing it? Anyway, 30 seconds. We burned so much time on the execution just with this single room. I feel like we're so close though, it's just that we need to not have it bounce so far over at the end. It does seem a little execution-based for a puzzle. Yeah, maybe so, but that's been the case for some of the other ones here, too. But yeah, there might be a much more elegant approach that presents itself. I was originally thinking that maybe it would be something like a POW destroying a bone shell at a critical moment, or something like that. Okay. I still like this system here on the right, though. Oh, whoops, no. I'll watch the D-pad here. When it rains spaghetti, it pours. Oh, whoops. No, hang on. Let's reset. Oh, whoops. Brought this with me. That's fine. Yeah, because if you look at this POW on the right side, that was in a relatively well-adjusted position. Yeah, no particular issues, actually. Okay, so let's do the same setup. It took me way too long to get doing the simple stuff. Nope, too late. The thing about a lot of these puzzles is that they're not as execution-based as I tend to make them look. I probably make the execution-based traps stand out much more than they would in front of other players, simply because I do poke around and cause all kinds of disasters. Okay, drop this. I think we do have it most of the way, though. We've been using most of the information that we've been given. And even if the cases where we might not have, there's enough that's left to implication to really capture the richness of the setting. Okay, so let's grab the POW on the other side and let's see if we can position this any better. No, I got myself into the same problem here. What's stopping me from just manually taking the POW here and then dropping down? I mean, why couldn't I have just done that in the first place? Whoops, as soon as I picked this up, this is a problem. Now here's the thing, when it's still balanced, you can probably still ride out the second POW. And have it send you where you want it to go. more, of course. Just trying to think about this in relation to other setups that we've done, where we've been introduced to a number of concepts. Okay, so let's see here. Whoops, wrong. Hang on, input errors abound. Let's reset the timer on this one. It's too long. Okay, same idea as before, except you know, if it's not a straight drop, then how we'll go about it. Anyway, I'm gonna drop this and this. Okay, we'll try to do the same setup. I feel like we haven't quite gotten all the juice we want out of this approach just yet. And I do have an occasional habit of dropping this material just as we're starting to make it interesting. So yeah, definitely the fish over here. And then let's put it over here. Oops. Why do we loop around here? No. Let's pay attention. Oh, wanted it downstairs. Already kind of thinking ahead to the next controversial issue. Okay. Pretty common line that we've seen here many, many times today. Okay. Now let's see if the sentencing here has made any difference. Yeah, no, we want to leave things as is. We know. And artifacts return. Okay, well, we can go up the ramp. Just need to be extra careful about not weighing it down. Yeah, so if you go down to Vine, you can kind of do a soft drop to the left. And then do a bit of a nudge, but well, let's see, because if I can actually manage to nudge... Yeah, so this is going to stay in place, which is the behavior we expect. Which is kind of important because it means I could actually just set things down like this. That's a little too far over. And if I stand up here, yeah, it's not quite. Nope, hang on. I mean, I wonder if I'm able to press this in such a way that this allow me to some of this with a bit more urgency. Let's yeah, nudging it from above. If I can find some way to bounce it back, which I think we can do, actually. So notice that when we do that drop, we still have the flexibility to go back and forth. Which means that we can place this shell and use it to perhaps prevent the bounce back. Okay, so I think I've got the adjustment that we've been looking for after staring at this for far too long. We can do something with a shell bounce. I think we'll be able to, because one thing that I've not taken advantage of, as I was saying, is that we're probably free to go as we please for much of this. Alright, there we go. And we'll do the slam over here. Yeah, the thing I'm noticing here is that the news reporters here do have the time to read each other. And so if we set this down without nudging it, or if we don't even set it down yet, but we come down here and pre-place the other shell, we place it in a certain column such that the POW remains in a location that we actually want. The risk, of course, is that the seesaw goes down and catches the shell and the POW. Have to be careful with that. But if it's in a location like this, perhaps we'll get some good bounces going. It's a little too far over, I think, but no, that's okay because the seesaw's going to go down, and so we just need to make sure shell is below. Then we give it a light tap, and then oh no, too heavy. But that's going to float up, right? And if it floats up, no, it doesn't work. However, we might be able to place the second shell such that the weight will work out properly. Like, if you do 2 shells here, then it works. Yeah, so we have the flexibility to place the second shell, so we might as well do it. And if we have 2 shells going on there, that actually accounts for the shift in the positioning of the POW that we drop into position. If that actually is the case, to account for the fact that we have an additional tile on the POW bouncing over here, I actually kind of like that solution, because we just needed to find that one adjustment. And it's a very discrete kind of adjustment that is fairly simple to understand and easy to make happen without worrying too much about, you know, how much finesse we're exercising when it comes to making the ramp. Because the thing is, you can drop both shells here and make the ramp just fine and have this hold, and do the whole drop and push with the POW without further complications. So we take the POW over here, we'll put it aside. And then, yeah, as you can see, POW's still pinching this just fine. We just walk out of here. And we're going to put 2 shells in a slot. It'll be fun if this works. Because I think this might actually be a satisfying way to do this. Anyway, let's wait here, and then let's hop out. Dump the shells on top of each other. Like that. We've got 2 shells. That might actually be all we need. Ramp. You see, because they don't impose any weight on the ramp either, we just nudge this. And then it should reach an equilibrium. Look at that, look at that. Will it stay? Yes, it will. Okay, that was really satisfying. It took me so long to find that adjustment, but look at how well it works. It kind of swings pretty beautifully, and it was easy to execute, which is exactly what makes it look legitimate. And it's even quick to do. So. Pretty happy with that. Anyway, let's take the key and get out. Oh, boss time. Okay. Okay, definitely an anti-key death mechanism in a previous room then, given the coin placement. Alright, so yeah, this is just a matter of finding a setup. Interestingly enough, notice that, yeah, it's going to be some kind of tandem where it goes back and forth, and notice this central slot here. That might account for the weight disparity between the POW and the shell. Because if we have them going back and forth, basically, then what if we go like this? Yep. Works really well, in fact, and the solution just kind of writes itself. It's almost like this is a little bonus-y, not even so much of a puzzle, but just, you know, that Ape Taster found this particular setup, and it looks so satisfying that you might as well just put it in as a little treat to really complete what this puzzle is going for aesthetically. And it is very satisfying. It's the kind of thing where if you've developed this whole mechanic, you want to show the player that that's going to happen, right? Look at that. I should have actually peeked above that cloud to the left just to see if I could lock myself. That would have been a bad idea. I think it would probably just, you know, let you hit your head on a block there and stop you from doing it. But here's my 99.59. And it was worth it. In the end. Definitely a couple of sticking points there because it's a very unique puzzle in that you're not finding necessarily a sequence of steps that writes itself, but you're looking for adjustments where you kind of roughly know what you're aiming towards. Kind of like how in the final puzzle, you know, it gives you the setup initially. You think, oh, I just need to replicate that placement of the bone shell on the left and the POW on the right in room 6. And it becomes a little more complicated than that, in that it just barely doesn't work, and you just need to figure out the change that you need to make. And so it's a very unique style of engagement with this kind of puzzle, I think, that I find very gratifying. And of course, the star of the show is just the mechanic itself, using the bone shell as a pumping station. So yeah, it looks like I'm one of the later judges to get to this, so I guess Ranches and Acorn and some of the off-stream crew are still on the way. But anyway, we've got it. Perpetual Motion. Very clever title, too.
So that's it for Move the Earth. We've played 8 out of 8. And we've solved 8 out of 8. Some of them took longer than others. The Teramis one we finished at the beginning of this stream, of course, I think was actually... No, I think because we did it so quickly today that it added up to less than the time we spent on Searchlight's Obsidian Manor. But both of them had rooms that stuck me for about 3 hours, which was plainly unacceptable. Although with the one in Searchlight, I can understand why that happened. With Teramis, I think it was just a massive blind spot last time where I was just maybe too tired to poke around properly to find what I did today. And it went so quickly today, I couldn't believe it. It's like everything just lined up to make the execution happen at a critical moment. And we had a fantastic finish, so. That's it. We're going to send you on to another stream. We will likely be doing something that is not Mario Maker in the midweek streams later this week. We need to do some kind of proper catch-up session in Mario Maker at some point to play some backlog and do some puzzles and platforming outside the contest. But I also have a couple of other games that I've been putting off. And of course, Fire Emblem expansion is hitting later this week, so we'll see if we can fit that in at some point, even though I streamed way too much Fire Emblem this year already. Just going through the main campaign. Thanks for joining me, James D, keeping me company and witnessing the solution as it came together at the end. We'll be sending you folks off to a raid. Enjoy the Super Mario Bros. Movie later this week for anybody who is catching it as it opens. I actually think that I'll be returning to the 1993 film first. I was actually kind of wondering if it might even be something that doesn't get me into trouble if I run some kind of watch party for the 1993 film, because there is a cut of it that is freely available on archive.org, I think. And so like there's some kind of rights clearance that makes that possible, and maybe that's something we could consider. But regardless, off stream, on stream, in the cinema, at home, on your phone, on your Nintendo 3DS, whatever it is you're doing, whatever device you're engaging with. Thanks for watching. And we'll send you off to your next destination very shortly, so have a great week ahead of you. We'll see you again for whatever it is we're doing. And as always, fare thee well.